Millicent was never a member of Prophet Owuor's church at the onset. Until the miracle, that's when she joined that church, and she has always been faithful in Prophet Owuor's church. Let me put to context this church. The Church of Prophet Owuor has a total congregation spread the whole country and the diaspora to the tune of over 10 million followers. That's not a simple church. Number two, the church is both physical and virtual, so that the congregants can be able to access religious instructions and miracles physically and digitally. Millicent is a beneficiary of the second aspect of the digital miracle process. The essence of the miracles is as old as Christianity. It is as old as the old Bible during Moses' time. It is as old as mankind. Therefore, C.S. Duale was not there when the concept of miracles started. Free. Our clients, and more specifically Millicent, was diagnosed by doctors to be having HIV/AIDS. These are government doctors. We have had a chance to listen to them, the doctors. Out of curiosity by me and Martina and Cliff, we asked the doctors, why are you in this church? And the doctors told us, but they test people, and once they certify that one has been tested positive, it is like the courts, and that's why we are here. That is a death sentence. They gave us the protocols of NASCOP, the original protocols of NASCOP. Once you have been tested positive, just go near the village where your grave is, because you are destined to die. New protocols, and we have attached a copy of the new protocols for testing. There is now provision for retesting. So scientifically, the question is, when there is the provision for retesting, then there is a possibility of testing negative. So the theory that once tested positive, you can never reverse to negative. Science has proved that you can reverse negative. And that is why the new protocols are saying retest. And that's what we are putting to Duale and his team at the ministry. Explain the circumstances under which you have allowed medical personnel to retest. Our client was tested by government officers. Our client was retested by government officers who are doctors. These doctors, after they tested very many Kenyans who were positive, Later, the same patients came back and told the doctors, retest. And after retesting, they found out that very many, like Millicent, are retesting negative. Surprisingly, I insisted to be given a data. Prophet Owuor's church has a total of more than 2,000 doctors in one church. Because of that. When Millicent and Tim said this, these doctors confirmed. The ministry was mad on them. The ministry was ready to sack all the government doctors. The ministry instituted disciplinary processes. None of the doctors was sacked. All of them are on the payroll of government. Those who tested first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth, they're still in government payroll. That is a clear indication that the veracity of the tests are very clear. It was on TV when the doctors stood up and said, this is what we confirm. Aggrieved with what has happened, Millicent has already gone and filed a complaint at the DCI at Tusigu in Bondo, in Siaya County. We have attached a copy of the OB. The DCI shall be moving to court through a miscellaneous to get the documents in custody of government. People, as Mr. Cleaver said it, all testing equipments and machinery are sourced after endorsement from the World Health Organization. Is the ministry and is the minister, is Duale telling Kenyans, testing kits in this country are being manufactured and sourced from River Road? That is the narrative. The minister is telling the Republic that we are alone with our own lives and God help us. The testing equipment is serious issue. The procurement process is watertight. When you look at what is happening with our clients, there is a clear conspiracy by the CS, the PS, the directors at Afya House, and all the government bureaucracy in the Ministry of Health to try to cover up a serious fiasco. I know they have their own share problems, but this is more serious than SHA. We have given 14 days. We are heading to court. We shall be filing, suing the minister and suing all the people into this matter. We have also instructed our client that we shall be sending samples of her to international private laboratories. KEMRI is Duale controlled, is government controlled. We shall be sending samples out of the country to test how KEMRI can come with us a decision that she had never contracted. If today, I know my friend Mr. Cliff the other day was unwell of flu 2 years ago. Which laboratory can test him and say that he has never had flu all his life? That beats logic. So we will be testing this against the scientific principles that are there. We know very well there is a blue code of silence within the government bureaucracy that try to cover up this issue. We are determined to get it very clear. This is not the first attack and distortion of faith-based organization. When me and Cliff fought for Pastor Ezekiel, the story was the same. Distortion of facts by government agencies. We are determined to defend the church of Prophet Owuor. We are determined to defend the 10 million congregants of that church. We are determined to get justice for the two clans of us, and we are determined to get justice for citizens of this country and foreigners who are living in this country, who then are being exposed to a fake mediocrity in terms of medical provisions. Our client, as you can see, the type of embarrassment when somebody has been told that you are HIV positive. The type of stigma it brings, especially to women, to the family, to those affected, to the children, to the community. This is a very, very grave issue, and we are determined to go further. Yes, we know there are fake preachers in this country, but we have looked at the theory, the epistemology, the theology, and the teachings of Prophet Owuor. What is it? If you have been tested positive by a doctor, come, we pray to you. The first entry is you must be tested positive. Millicent was tested positive. After the miracle, the prophet tells you, go back to the science for them to confirm whether you have been healed or not. Millicent went back to the same doctors. This is a religious theology anchored on science. The people who identify that you are HIV positive are doctors. The people who will confirm that you have been healed are doctors. And this is what the minister is not ready to face. But as we have said, we have given a very firm notice that we are going for a classical case against the government of Kenya, and which will clearly bring thousands and millions of Kenyans who either are put on ARVs, not because of their own fault, but because of the fault of the government of Kenya. We shall also equally be looking at the violations, the constitutional violations of Article 32 of the Constitution on the right to religion. We shall also be looking at the right to health and the right to life. What our two clans have faced. This is a national matter, and we are urging Duale. I think you can remember when the Supreme Court made a decision that even children born outside wedlock are entitled to protection under Article 53 of the Constitution. Duale led the issue that that is not Islamic faith, and that cannot apply under the Muslim law. He invoked the inherent provision of Article 32 to defend his faith, the Muslim faith. That time, Article 32 was very, very critical to the CS. Today, that article is what we are invoking, that the right to do miracles is protected under Article 32. If indeed these are masqueraders, have they been arrested and be charged? Have they been arrested for giving false information to a public officer, being doctors? None. They are walking free. They have walked to our chambers, and they are here addressing the public. In the reverse, it is them who have gone to the police and have sued. Any government insensitive to the health conditions of its citizens is a government not fit to be in power. Health supersedes education. Health is life. And that is the question we are putting to the government in place at this time. If they are not sensitive to the plight of these citizens, and in light of the most dangerous stigmatized disease called HIV/AIDS, then this issue is bigger than this government. Our clients have never been treated in a private entity. They have been treated in government entities. We are watching, we are alert, and we shall ensure justice for our two clients, and we hope the government will clarify and KEMRI will retract that afterthought letter.
Ladies and gentlemen of the Fourth Estate, we are here on public interest issues, and the correlation of our client's story is likely to have affected members of the public at large. And so we have written a letter to the Ministry of Health, Cabinet Secretary Mr. Aden Duale, and the Director General of KEMRI. We have also copied the Ministry of Interior Cabinet Secretary, the AG, and the NASCOP, which stands for National AIDS and STI Control Program, and the CEC, Department of Health, in the county government of Siaya. The reasons why we have written this letter is because there was, some time back, HIV and AIDS was a national disaster, and there was a lot of stigma associated with the disease. And there are set policies and guidelines as to how protocols are followed in the testing and the satisfaction that a patient is positive or negative. This goes all the way to the grassroots level and deep in the villages of the Republic of Kenya. And it applies to all Kenyans, and particularly to one of our clients, namely Millicent Awino, who presented herself at a facility having had a few symptoms of the said disease. She was subjected to testing, which testing confirmed without any iota of doubt that indeed our client was HIV positive. There is a system known as the Taifa Care. And there is what I will call the yellow card, which is a card that only HIV patients have. And once you have been established to have the disease in your body, you are entered into the system of that Taifa Care. You are also presented with a yellow card, which has a summary of all your details from the minute of diagnostic to the minute you're put under the ARV treatment, and you're subjected to tests just to confirm how your progress is doing. Now, this specific yellow card has 10 digits. And the 10 digits, the first ones being for the facility, the last specific digits are unique, the same way a national ID card is unique. Therefore, no one can have the same number, no two people can have the same number of this yellow card. So our matter of contention is through a letter that was written by KEMRI dated the 20th of April 2026, to the effect that after our client purports to have gone through her faith belief and got healing of the disease, she was tested and confirmed to not have the disease. She was tested and the results became negative. This brought a lot of public attention, and she was giving testimonies of how she is no longer suffering from the disease. Now, through the county government, they did a multi-agency investigation and subjected our clients to numerous tests over and above what has been subscribed in the policy. And just to be clear, that the kind of test that is done is very specific, with almost 99% surety. And under the supervision of NASCOP at KEMRI Kisumu, she was subjected to several tests. And at the very first instance, KEMRI indicated that the results are not conclusive. The second time they did the tests, they refused to share the test to the client. And the third time after doing the test, they said that because of something called the viral load count, that our client never had HIV from the onset. Please note, the reason why this is a public interest matter is because many Kenyans are being subjected to these protocols, meaning anybody, including yourself or myself, can be subjected to these government protocols by the Ministry of Health, to these test kits. And these test kits have to be verified. They have to be, first of all, approved by WHO, and they are tested batch by batch, meaning they are extremely accurate. But you can be submitted to ARV drugs on the basis of a false status, which is very dangerous because these drugs have other side effects. And also you will be subjected to the stigma and the psychological trauma of having to bear yourself with this disease. So after she was tested by KEMRI, KEMRI now came and said through a letter dated 20th April that our client never had that disease. Remember, all through, our client was given her unique number in the yellow card. All through, our client's details were contained in the Taifa Care system, which is national, and it is one system that is throughout the country. KEMRI went ahead and asked for the details of this patient at the point where she was treated in Siaya. The information was forwarded. It was confirmed that she had been coming to take the drugs consistently. It was confirmed that indeed her details were entered in the Taifa system. It was also confirmed that she went through several tests to confirm that indeed she had the positive status. But now, because of her attending a faith-based crusade and purporting to be healed through the ministry, KEMRI is now disputing by stating that she never had this disease from the onset. This is raising serious concerns because of the vicious and rigorous vetting that NASCOP, that the the kits are subjected through NASCOP, the Pharmacy and Poisons Board, and National Public Health Laboratories, and the batch verification, and the sensitivity levels and specificity. Therefore, it is hardly untenable that those results would have yielded a wrong outcome. And just to be sure, those tests are done by, a patient is subjected to more than 2 tests. We do not know if KEMRI got the authority to subject our clients to numerous tests, and yet in their policy, they normally receive tests and give results and do not draw blood directly from clients or directly from patients. But they went against protocol, and they are now refuting that our client had the disease, yet in fact she was in all the systems according to the policy that is prescribed for HIV and AIDS. We have written to the aforesaid bodies, hoping in the fullness of time that KEMRI will, number one, retract the conclusion that they drew about our client through their letter dated 20th of April, and that the Ministry of Health to clarify whether our client and the general public ought to rely on their scientific system of HIV testing, and whether the same has been compromised against public interests. As I conclude and yield the floor to my fellow councils, KEMRI cannot use the viral load as a justification, because normally, as we have been informed by medical practitioners before we initiated this quest, is that as soon as a patient is subjected to the treatment of ARVs, after 6 weeks or thereabout, the ARTs will show a low viral count. So they cannot say that it is the viral count that they are relying on or is the justification to discredit our clients' beliefs and our client system. This country, we have freedom of religious associations, and that cannot be watered down in any way. That cannot be watered down by any person purporting to want to sanctify or make well the systems that they have brought. So it is very important that this matter is addressed conclusively, owing to the sensitivity and the stigmatization and the psychological trauma that patients are undergoing. And they need to confirm without any iota of doubt that indeed the kits they have been using are WHO accredited and approved, tested and verified, before we subject the general public and fellow Kenyans to psychological trauma and taking medication that is really not suitable for their needs. Thank you.
Now, we have all heard what our clients have gone through, and 2 things come into mind. First, Kenya is a country that is deeply rooted in spiritual affairs, either through the Christian faith, your traditional beliefs, or any other religion. Now, what runs across through these faiths is the fact that they affirm that there are instances where there is divine miracles, divine healing, from whatever source of your belief is. Indeed, sacred texts have accounts of very many instances where faith and understanding has created, or rather has formed, miracles and actions beyond human understanding. And our client belongs to that school of thought in the Christian aspect. Secondly, we are all students of history, and we can all recount that while we are discussing epistemology, one thing that is recognized as forming or founding beliefs in any system, especially in matters of personal transformation, is personal testimony. So when the government comes and tells us that, no, we cannot believe what they are telling us, yet, at the same time, we have the scientific backing of these two factors. What exactly is it telling us? Is it causing an affront to Article 38 of the Constitution, 32 of the Constitution, which protects freedom of conscience, belief, and religion? Or is it also telling us that the testing kits which they are providing to the members of the public are faulty? So this is an issue that we need to interrogate, given that our clients are feeling extremely injured and they are being labeled as liars. So where does the truth lie? That is the question that our address today seeks to answer. Thank you.
You know, for me and my family and maybe my relatives, there is that village man that sometimes we go to, maybe the Muganga, and sometimes he treats us and we believe. But one thing that we are going to talk about, and this is about the government, this is about the Ministry of Health, this is about KEMRI. They have two problems here. The first problem is they have admitted that Millicent, our client, is HIV negative. And that therefore, if she is HIV negative, she must never have been positive before. What they are basing that on, they have not showed us today. Why? Because they are afraid. It is confirmed that she went and she got tested numerous times, minimum 6 times. Minimum. Where? In government medical facilities with qualified personnel and acceptable facilities with the standards required, with the facilities that are needed. The same government, after finding out that she is HIV positive, wants to control her. And what do? They approach her and tell her, you must take medicine. You must take the ARVs. And you must do this regularly and as the prescription suggests. She takes. Where does she get this medicine from, or the ARVs? From the same institutions that the Ministry of Health or the government is running. She takes them and they follow up. They put her in a file. They give her what we call a 258 card, the CCC card, what has been called the yellow card. Unique, like a fingerprint, points to a particular person. When you go back to where she started her treatment, which KEMRI, I tend to think, should do, you find that she had been tested a number of times and she is HIV positive. So there is no doubt that she was, according to documentation and according to the tests. And that is why you decide to put somebody on medication. Now that they say she was never positive, and now they realize that these documents do exist, they have actually injured her mentally and to the extent that we cannot be able to say, subject to quantification. They know that if their kit was defective or they did a wrong thing and they have put her through this process of medication, there is mental torture, anguish, and suffering. and they know this shall visit them, they must pay. So the only way they can be able to get out of this is to say she was never. How are they going to run away from the documentation that they have, that she has been given, that they actually told her? She did not go there to tell them she was HIV positive. She went there for treatment and they told her she was, and followed up and told her come for medication. She does that. She does it on a regular basis. As you've heard her sad story, she tells you how the children reminded her, how the husband was in pain, how she was in pain. So one day she sits in front of a television. The Menengai 7 is going on. She sees the prophet praying for people. She's watching this through TV 47. She takes her card as the prophet is praying and puts the card there with the belief. And she tells you clearly that the moment she does that, she feels some relief in her. She feels it. She falls down. She sweats. And she knows there is a change in her body. And what does she do about that? She goes back and tries to see. She thinks and decides, I might be okay. So she goes for a testing. She speaks to people. She speaks to the family. They go and test her. And they find she's HIV negative. Not only once, but again for a number of times, not less than 6. Again. Now, are we going to say that faith to religion, beliefs to religion, is not true? Are we going to stand here and criticize it? Just like it said, he who does not believe cast the first stone. Is there anybody here who can cast the first stone that it is not true? Is there anybody who can tell her that she was not healed? This one does not require science. This is faith. This is religion. This is belief. So she's found out she's negative. What does KEMRI do? Calls her, does the unlawful things, takes blood directly from her, and now goes back and says she was never positive. Do you see the consequences that they are fearing? Now, are you telling the public here today that you have defective kits, yet it's a constitutional right to health? Are you telling us that the diagnosis is not correct? Are you telling us you have medical staff that are not qualified? Are you telling us that you have fake results to many other people? Is that what you're telling us? Who is responsible? Now you see where I'm going with that story. Are you saying that you have different classes of people? The ones in KEMRI are different from the ones that you have sent into the Siaya counties and all other areas? Are you saying that the facilities you have in KEMRI could be better than the ones you're giving to the people in the local areas? Are you saying that you're discriminating? Are you saying that Millicent is a liar? Based on what? You, same government, tell her she's HIV, and you, the same government, and telling her she's HIV negative. And now you want to throw mud at her? You want to call a dog a bad name so that you can kick it? This is why sometimes when we say put people in the ministry who are competent, please do so. From the head, and you know what I mean, to the bottom, put people who are qualified. But also on the same level as you've heard from Peter and as you've heard from Millicent, we cannot rule out faith. But remember one thing, for this one, you will pay.